Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where the performance of Veltima fungicide can take your best results even farther. Powered by soy biodiesel, today I'll head to the Wood County Fair in Bowling Green, all thanks to Axis Seeds Ohio. On Wednesday, the Ohio Field Leader Roadshow will be in Ottawa County, broadcasting from the farm of Sheldon Miller. Field Leader is a project of the Ohio Soybean Council and Soybean Checkoff. On Thursday, we'll head to the Hancock County Fairgrounds for the Northwest Ohio Antique Machinery Steam Show at the Hancock County Fairgrounds. That show runs July 31st through August 3rd. For the first time in 20 years, U.S. beef will be shipped to Australia. Negotiations between the two countries has led to open trade after delays continued for many years. According to the United States Meat Export Federation, it has been 21 years since bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or BSE, resulted in market closure to U.S. beef around the world. While most markets have been reopened, Australia continued to ban U.S. beef exports due to BSE concerns. Australia is one of the last countries to maintain a ban on U.S. beef exports after 21 years post-BSE. Its restrictions are purely protectionist measure against U.S. beef industry, which are long overdue for resolution, said U.S. Meat Export Federation in a statement. President Donald Trump has continually worked on trade deals around the world. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association thanked President Trump for his trade win for America's cattle farmers and ranchers. In 2024 alone, Australia shipped a total of $1.7 billion in beef to the U.S., according to the U.S. Meat Export Federation. They added that Australia would be a niche market for U.S. beef, with opportunities at food service in the short run and providing a premium product in the long run without any threat to Australia's industry. Cattle Australia, the leadership and policy-driven organization in Australia, has called for an independent scientific panel to review their government's decision to lift biosecurity restrictions on beef imported from the U.S. U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins stood behind American farmers and ranchers and said they produce the safest, healthiest beef in the world. It's absurd that non-scientific trade barriers prevented our beef from being sold to consumers in Australia for the last 20 years. Gone are the days of putting American farmers on the sidelines, she said. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
We've got an incredibly humid day coming at us here for your Monday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at the Ohio Ag Weather Update. Humidity is going to be a problem statewide. I just think the dew points are going to be not as far away from what we expect sometimes in far southern reaches of the state. So very warm, very humid, very oppressive today. Heat warning through the day, watches and warnings out there. The good news is we are going to be seeing the heat pull back a little bit in the days ahead, but not necessarily right away. In this, I don't think we see a lot of threat for shower and thunderstorm action. Same thing for tomorrow, Tuesday. We are partly to mostly sunny. We're very warm and we're very humid, but no significant threat of precipitation. We see a few overnight showers and thunderstorms trying to come into western Ohio as we move from tomorrow night into early Wednesday, but the rest of us are going to have to wait until Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, and Thursday before we see showers and storms come in. Right now, looking at a 1/2 to 1.5 inch rainfall totals combined out of that, but the key here is what comes behind. Much cooler and significantly less humid air. For the first, second, and third, it's going to feel markedly different. That cannot get here soon enough, in my opinion. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Joining me is Luke Crumley, Director of Public Policy and Sustainability for Ohio Corn and Wheat. Luke, is it too early to start thinking about what's next?
Here's a big win that we're working on right now. The House and the Senate in Washington have both started their appropriations process for fiscal year 2026. And on the House side, they just had their Ag Appropriations Subcommittee meeting where they approved language that would include new dollars in this environment where everyone's talking about DOGE and cutbacks. We've been able to go to our champions, folks like Marcy Kaptur, and talk to her and her team about issues like vomitoxin And she was able to get $500,000 put into the House version of that ag appropriations budget specifically for vomitoxin research, something that is affecting some part of Ohio each and every year. We have been able to work through our champions in Congress to address that. It's not a done deal, but it's in the language for the House version of AgriPropes, and that is a huge step forward, especially in this environment. It's the first year we've asked for it. We're able to demonstrate the real challenge that vomitoxin presents to our growers here in Ohio, and now we have a path forward, and our next step is to get the same language in on the Senate side and make sure that when the appropriations packages pass, either in September or at the end of the year, depending on whether or not Congress does their homework, right? If we can get those appropriations packages done at either of those times, if we're successful, then we can kickstart some federally funded research to prevent vomitoxin, keep it from moving west, any number of things. Huge win if we get it done.
And thank you, Luke Crumley, Director of Public Policy and Sustainability for Ohio Corn and Wheat. This Ohio State Fair Open Livestock Show schedule brought to you by Farm Credit Mid-America. On the 29th in the Beef Barn at 8 a.m., the Mini Herefords and the Santa Gertrudis will be showing there. Also then, as we look to the 29th in the Sheep Barn, the Natural Colored, Dorper, and Katahdin will be in. August 1st, we'll see Suffolks, Tunis, all other breeds, and Shropshires. August 2nd, starting at 8 a.m., the Dorsets, Hornpold, and Advantage. At 9 o'clock, the Cheviots, and 11 o'clock, we'll see the Monadales. If you jump over to the Rabbit Barn on August 2nd, the ARBA-sanctioned open show will happen at 9 a.m. And in the Dairy Barn on August 1st, the Guernsey Heifers and Jersey Heifers. August 2nd will be the Jersey, Guernsey, and Brown Swiss cows. The complete schedule online at ohiostatefair.com. Back with more after this.
Hey, Ohio! Don't wait! The Ohio State Fair is here now through Sunday, August 3rd. Experience fair favorites like the Butter Cow, livestock animals, shopping, delicious food, exciting entertainment, thrilling rides, competitions, and so much more. Make memories that will last a lifetime at the Ohio State Fair through August 3rd. Get your tickets at ohiostatefair.com.
Get the equipment and trucks you need at the Ritchie Brothers' next Great Lakes Regional event on August 7th and 8th. This absolute unreserved auction will feature online bidding, and items are located in Columbus, Chicago, and Detroit. Choose from close to 1,000 items, including a wide selection of construction equipment, truck, tractors, and more. Don't miss Ritchie Brothers' Great Lakes Regional event on August 7th and 8th. For more details, visit rbauction.com. Again, that's rbauction.com.
Cattle and calves on feed for slaughter market in the United States for feedlots with a capacity of 1,000 head or more totaled 11.1 million head on July 1st, 2025. The inventory was 2% below July 1 of a year ago. The inventory included 6.88 million steers and steer calves, up 1% from the previous year. This group also accounted for 62% of the total inventory. Heifers and heifer calves accounted for 4.24 million head, down 5% from last year. Placements into feedlots during June totaled 1.44 million head, 8% below 2024. Net placements were 1.39 million head. Marketings of fed cattle during June totaled 1.71 million head, 4% below 24, and marketing were the lowest of June since the series began in 1996. On the cattle inventory, all cattle and calves in the U.S. on July 1 totaled 94.2 million head, 1% below July of a year ago. All cows and heifers that have calved totaled 38.1 million head, 1% below July of 2023. Beef cows at 28.7 million head were down 1% from 2 years ago, and milk cows at 9.45 million head are up 1% from 2023. And U.S. Meat Export Federation Vice President of Economic Analysis, Aaron Borer, points out that while Indonesian tariffs on U.S. red meat are only 5%, the country places a number of burdensome non-tariff trade barriers on U.S. product, including plant-by-plant inspections of U.S. facilities and a complicated import licensing regime. If those non-tariff barriers can be cleared in an Indonesian trade deal, the immediate opportunity is an estimated $250 million in annual beef sales. Opening Indonesia more freely to U.S. beef could also help offset the impact of the current trade impasse with China by increasing demand for products such as short plates and short ribs. While Indonesia is a largely Muslim nation, there are more than 30 million non-Muslim residents who are exhibiting a growing demand for U.S. pork. And while U.S. pork faces similar barriers as beef, the small volume of U.S. pork exported there has doubled this year. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For marketing information on your beans to LDC, call 574-566-2113. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished lower on Friday, but not by too large of a margin. As we take a look at the closing numbers, corn down about 1 to 2, beans down 3 to 5. Bean meal and bean oil were lower. Wheat markets were down anywhere from 1 to 3 cents in Chicago, KC, and Minneapolis markets overall. So we just didn't really see a whole lot of super exciting activity on the day. And so it comes back to what were the headlines of Friday and what do we expect today? Look, most of the I-states, a large part of key growing areas picked up moisture over the weekend. I think that's issue number one. Even areas that were in a moderate drought status on the weekly drought monitor picked up moisture as we go back through the past 3 to 3.5 days or so. So rain makes grain in the eyes of the market. Yes, it was hot. Yes, it was humid, but that was a tropical kind of growing scenario. So I think weather is not going to help us much this week. On Friday, the U.S. dollar found a little bit of buying on the rebound that came in starting on Thursday. The spring wheat tour concluded with an estimate of about 49 bushel to the acre in North Dakota. Now, that is down from last year and well below the 59 bushel per acre that is currently on the USDA's balance sheet. So there is where we might see a little bit of strength in wheat, but not really seeing much else to crow about. Corn exports last week returned to a very strong level after the prior week's surprisingly low sales numbers. This was in line with the trade guess, but it was to the high end of the trading range. Old crop exports are coming in about 26% higher than the 5-year average. Year-to-date sales are ahead at 30%, assuming several different data points. It does look like we've probably already fulfilled what is on the books with USDA's balance sheet. Will USDA change their balance sheet in the August supply and demand? Probably not, but it bears watching here, especially if we see another strong weekly export sales report number this week coming up. Now, as we take a look at the soybean side, export sales last Friday about 11% higher than the low 5-year average. The trade expectation was right in line with where we came in. Including shipping, the U.S. is priced slightly better than Brazil for old crop, but Brazil is much cheaper on new crop. For the year, the number is about 5% down year on year. That's your market update. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. We'll have the overnight figures after this.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
Did you know that soybeans are the secret sauce behind Ohio's booming poultry farms? Each year, poultry consume a whopping 937 million bushels of soybean meal nationwide. This high-protein powerhouse keeps chickens and turkeys thriving, making Ohio number 2 in egg production and number 9 in turkey farming. From farm to table, soybeans power the farms that feed families. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, September corn down 1 1/4 at 3.98 1/4 cents. December down 1 at 4.18. August beans down 7 1/4 at 9.91 1/2. November down 7 at $10.14. September wheat down 1/4 cent. Make it a 1/2 cent lower now at 5.37 3/4. August cattle up 67 at 226.47. August lean hogs up 50 cents at 108.70. September feeder cattle up 255 at 332.20. This is the Ohio AgNet.